Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And, good evening to all. So today we are going to look into topic of hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. So this is a replacement class. I think few months back, because I'm not very I was on sick leave on that day. Sorry for the delay. So Alhamdulillah, we managed to do our replacement class tonight. So as I mentioned just now, the topic is about related about health and safety. Okay, let me put into slideshow. Right. Yeah. So the purpose of this topic is to provide a systematic and objective approach to assess a hazard and their associated risk that will provide an objective measure of an identified hazard, as well as provide a method to control risk. Yeah? So it is the general duties to employer under the Act of Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 and Act 514 to provide a safe workplace to their employees and other related persons. So what is occupational safety and health? It is providing a working environment which is conducive to safety and health. Reasonable precautionary steps are taken so as to ensure that workers are prevented from injury or health hazard due to work activities being carried out. So who is responsible for health and safety? So the answer is all are responsible, including employers, employee, self-employed, workers, design, manufacturers, importer, as well as plan and supply vendor, because everybody contribute to health and safety. So what are the obligations of the employers towards the employee? So the employers is obligated to protect the employees in relation to safety, health, and welfare through following procedure. One, to provide and maintain a safe plan and working system. To put in place procedure so as to ensure safety and health in usage, handling, storage, and transportation of plant and supplies. To provide information, instruction, trainings, and supervision for new and old employees. To provide and maintain a working environment that is safe and free from hazard, and to provide the necessary amenities for the welfare of those who are working. So is it necessary for the employer to employ a safety and health officer at the workplace? Yes, an employer who is classified under the Safety and Health Act 1994 must employ a competent person to act as a safety and health officer. So this is one of the opportunity, I think, in my opinion. Once you are graduated, finish your degree and working as an engineer, whether in a factory or a developer, a company, or as a consultant or site engineer. So one of the opportunity, in my opinion, is uh, to get your professional certificate in health and safety. Because the regulation now is tight, enforced by the government regulator, but I think not many engineers, especially having the credential or the professional certificate in this part. So you can pursue yourself and look more information in details from the NIOSH. Okay. So next is, what are the function of the safety and health committee at the workplace? So the function of safety and health committee are: one, to review the procedure of health and safety, and second, to investigate any complaint. For example, in UKM, we have a system whereby a student or academic staff or non-academic staff can make a complaint, and the respective department or department need to address each complaint. So as an employer, they should provide mechanism for that. And next one is to hold a regular discussion with the employer on issue relating to safety and health at the workplace. So any organization, especially the one which a big company or big institution, even for UKM itself, we have a regular audit in terms of health and safety. Even for our academic purposes, accreditation academic purposes, one of the aspects that the accreditation will check on is on the safety for either for the student or for the staff. So it is very important now in Malaysia. Some terms and definition. So what is hazard? Hazard means a source or a situation with a potential for harm in terms of human injury or ill damage or ill health, damage to the property, damage to the environment, or a combination of this. So hazard control means the process of implementing measure to reduce the risk associated with a hazard. So if I can recall myself, when I was doing my PhD in Cardiff University, once any student that are planning to do their experimental work in the lab, the first thing the technician will introduce a formal form where each student need to fill. One of the main question in that form is for the student to anticipate what is the potential hazard um, uh, during, before, and during, especially during the experimental work. And after that, after we itemize each of the possible hazard, we need to introduce or suggest what is the possible or best way to reduce the problem from the hazard. So that was my personal experience dealing with health and safety, especially in developed country. The health and safety aspect is already a culture, meaning everybody consciously aware and feel it is very important, and it is not something that we do just for the sake of doing things. However, in Malaysia or in developing country, for example, Malaysia, it is still a continuous improvement in this aspect, even though we have already achieved to a certain extent, but I think it's not yet a culture. There still need some enforcement or regulation to make sure the health and safety aspect are put in place. The next terms is hierarchy of control, mean the established priority order for the types of measure to be used to control risk. Next is another term is hazard identification, means the identification of undesired event that lead to the materialization of the hazard and the mechanism by which those undesired events could occur. Right. Another important term is risk. Risk means a combination of the likelihood of an occurrence of a hazardous event with specified period or in specified circumstances, and the severity of injury or damage to the health of people, property, environment, or a combination of this cost of event. So as you can see, there are few important terms here, which is likelihood, and also another one, which is the severity. So we have at least two important term and definition. One is hazard, and the other one is risk. So risk is a combination of hazard. Okay. Next is risk assessment, means the process of evaluating the risk to safety and health arising from hazard at work. Another term is risk management, means the total procedure associated with identifying hazard, assessing the risk, putting in place control measures, and reviewing the outcomes. As you can see in the risk management, the total procedure have four important aspect here, identifying, assessing, control measures, and also reviewing. Okay, the next one is discussion of basic concept in health and safety, which is one, what is risk? So risk is something that we as individual live with on a day-to-day basis. People are constantly making decisions based on risk. So the simple decisions in daily life, such as driving, crossing the road, and money investment, all imply an acceptance risk. So another important concept here, we decide management risk based on decision of an acceptance risk. So risk is a combination of likelihood and severity. So risk can be calculated by this equation. So risk is equal likelihood multiplied by severity. So what is likelihood? Is an event likely to occur, and severity is the outcome of an event. And the purpose of HIRARC. So what is HIRARC? So let me check again. So HIRARC, which is hazard identification, risk assessment, and risk control. So going back to this one, so the purpose of HIRAC is to identify all the factors that may cause harm to the employees and others. Second is to consider what the chances are the harm actually befalling to anyone in the circumstances of particular case and the possible severity that could come from it. And the third one, the purpose is to enable employer to plan, introduce, and monitor preventive measures to ensure that the risks are adequately controlled at all times. Yeah, so I hope you can follow this. If you have any question regarding the topic, you can always immediately prompt and ask question. Yeah? All right. So planning of HIRAC activities. So HIRAC activities shall be planned and conducted for a situation where hazard appear to pose significant threat. Uncertain whether existing control are adequate, and before implementing a corrective and preventive measure, and by organization intending to continuously improve on health and safety management system. It should be the duty of the employer to assign a trained personnel to lead a team of employees associated with one particular process or activity to conduct HIRAC. So the process of HIRAC, there are 4 simple steps. One, to classify work activities. B, to identify hazard. C, to conduct risk assessment by estimating likelihood of occurrence and severity of the hazard. And D, to decide if the risk is tolerable and apply control measure if necessary. So this is the flowchart of a HIRAC process. So first is to classify work activities, and then consultation, whereby the representative from the employer and from the employee. So from there, the hazard it can be listed and identified, and each hazard require a risk assessment and then the preparation of risk control action plan, and next is implementation. And always in terms of health and safety management, it is a continuous improvement. That is why we any company or agency will do revision or an audit process. So from there we can review and make improvement. And so this process is a continuous improvement process. It's not when you plan or at the beginning and we will use the same action every year or every period that has been like decide. There will be an assessment, and from there we review and make improvement. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps here in HIRAC process. So next is about classify work activities. So classify work activities in accordance with their similarity, whether it is geographical or physical area within or outside the premises, stages in production or service process, whether the work activities is not too big. For example, building a car, or not too small, fixing a nut, and we define the task: loading, packing, mixing, fixing the door. So in this slide, what it's trying to explain here is when we do the assessment, we need to classify or itemize the work activities, because of course in any organization or company or factory, for example, there are many work activities involved. So we need to classify it. It is not possible to look into each details. For example, if it is too small here, even fixing a nut. So we to manage it, to manage the activities realistically. So we have to classify the activities appropriately, according to this example, whether it is geographical stages and the size of the work, and also the defined task. From there, then we can look into the hazard and risk, and also the implementation of all the working activities. And hazard can be divided into three main group, which is health hazards, safety hazards, and lastly, environmental hazard. So what is health hazards? Health hazard may produce serious and immediate acute effect, or may cause long-term or chronic problems. This is some example list for health hazard. For example, if it is involving chemical, such as battery, acid, solvents, biological hazard, bacteria, viruses, dust, mold, physical agents, work design, whether it is, for example, if you are working in an office where you do much work involving computers, most of the time you are sitting on your chairs or working on your desktop. So one of the main important aspect need to be considered is your working working space should be ergonomic, whether the position of your monitor or the type of chairs. So it will reduce the risk of injury, such, for example, back pain and something like that. Yeah. Next is safety hazard. Safety hazard is any force strong enough to cause injury or damage to property. For example, safety hazard include but not limited to sleeping or tripping hazard, fire hazard, moving parts of machinery, tools and equipment, work at height, such as work done on scaffolds, ejection of material, pressure system, vehicle, for example, forklift and truck, lifting and other manual handling operation, and working alone. So in our department, in our faculty, for example, by rules, any student, either undergraduate student or postgraduate student, you are not allowed to work alone in your lab. So it is a regulation for the experimental activities to be accompanied by a technician. Maybe another another example here. slipping or tripping hazard. If you go to lab, even in our faculty, there is a zebra line to show, to give warning for the user of the lab, if there is any possible hazard. For example, here, if there's wire or pipe crossing the floor, so there will be like lines, bright line, like a zebra line, in order for the user of the lab aware of the possible hazard that may occur. Another one, maybe this is something we all familiar, vehicle, forklift, trucks. That is why before you are going for your industrial training in your third year, you need to have a green, I think a green card. So because construction area, a factory is an area of the prohibited area, because it really involves many heavy vehicles. So because accident may occur because of this, if we are not aware or not careful with all these moving vehicles in a construction area or in a warehouse or in a factory. So this is another important aspect in this health and safety work. Next is the environmental hazard. So environmental hazard is a release to the environment that may cause harm or deleterious effect. An environmental release may not be obvious. For example, a worker who drains a glycol system and releases the liquid to a storm sewer may not be aware of the effect on the environment. So this is something very important. For example, people in let's say a waste, a byproduct waste from one company or from one factory. Without if they are irresponsible towards the environment and just produce and let the effluent or the waste to river, for example, it may not be immediate effect to the user. After, let's say, the waste is being dispersed in the water bodies, there are sometimes, let's say, downstream there is water intake for water treatment, for water supply treatment. And because of the chemical content is very high, So production of water, the supply of the water need to, or the treatment of the water need to be stopped because of the chemical content is too high. So this is one of example that the action of the any company or any individual for that matter to the environment. So the effect may not immediately notice, but at the end, the result will come back to the user. Next is on the analyze and estimate risk. Risk is the determination of likelihood and severity of the credible accident or event sequences in order to determine magnitude and to prioritize identified hazard. It can be a qualitative, quantitative, or semi-quantitative method. A qualitative analysis uses words to describe the magnitude of potential severity and the likelihood that those severity will occur. This method uses expert knowledge and experience to determine likelihood and severity category. So this is one of the technique to analyze risk, which is the first one is qualitative. Next one, semi-quantitative analysis. So qualitative scale, such as those described above, are given values. The objective is to produce a more expanded ranking scale that is usually achieved in qualitative analysis, not to suggest realistic values for risk, such as is attempted in quantitative analysis. So, another word, in semi-quantitative, it gives value to the severity, or give ranking scale for the qualitative or subjective analysis. Let's say it given using a Likert scale, 1 to 5, for example. 5 extremely dangerous, and 1, let's say, not dangerous at all. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5 is not an exact value, but a ranking scale, or to give a qualitative or subjective value, a subjective description, a value. So from the number, it is easier to make an analysis. And quantitative analysis uses numerical values for both severity and likelihood, using data from variety sources such as past accident experience and from scientific research. For example, numbers of accident, numbers of accident once a month, or 3 times a year, something like that. So it is a exact numerical value compared to semi, which is we give value to a subjective or qualitative analysis. So in this guideline, qualitative and semi-quantitative method uses as an example. Okay, next is about likelihood of an occurrence. This value is based on the likelihood of an event occurring. Assessing likelihood is based on worker experience, analysis, or measurement. Likelihood level range from most likely to inconceivable. So this is table A indicates likelihood using the following values. First, most likely rating or values given here 5. So the elaboration is the most likely result of the hazard or event being realized. Next is possible, conceivable, remote, and inconceivable. So inconceivable represent which is practically impossible and has never occurred. And the rating value is this one. Next is severity. Previously, we discussed of likelihood. The next one is severity. The severity can be divided into 5 categories. Severity are based upon an increasing level of severity to an individual's health, the environment, or the property. So table B indicates severity by using the following example. Severity can also be divided into 5 levels. So the highest here is catastrophic. Next is fatal. Third is serious, and fourth is minor, and lastly is negligible. So catastrophic being the worst one, the highest one, which is 5. And here the explanation is describing numerous fatalities, irrecoverable property damage, and productivity. Next one is fatal. Approximately one single fatality major property damage if hazard is realized, and serious non-fatal injury but permanent disability, and it's given rate as 3. And minor disabling but not permanent injury, and lastly negligible. Let's say what is catastrophic. If we can give an example, let's say your company or your working area dealing with high voltage power, let's say. This is a very high risk. Any mistake can cause catastrophic. Maybe your factory or your working area explode, let's say. So we can categorize this as catastrophic. For example, this is just an example. And how we do risk assessment by using this formula, which is L multiplied by S equal to relative risk. So L is likelihood and S is severity. So risk can be presented using this formula to communicate the results. So this is an example of a risk metric. On the left column here, first column is the likelihood ranging from 5 to 1. And on the first row is describing the severity. So as you can see, the one with the green color, so 5 multiplied by 1, we get 5. 5 multiplied by 2, we get 10. similar goes to each of these numbers in each box. So there are 3 colors here, coding, which is red code, which represent high risk. So 15, 20, 25, 16, 20, 15. So this is high risk. Yellow color code, which is medium risk. And last is the low risk, represented by green color. So this one, table D, describe each risk. So if the risk in category high, so we requires immediate action to control the hazard as detailed in the hierarchy control. Action taken must be documented on the risk assessment form, including date for completion. And if your risk categorized in medium, so medium risk requires a planned approach to control the hazard and applies temporary measure if required. And if the relative risk is on the low level, so risk identified as low may be considered as acceptable and further reduction may not be necessary. So this is like a form for you to, for the safety officer to give value for each component. And from there, when you get the result, the marks, the value of the risk, then you can category whether it is high or medium or low, and the action need to be followed by each level. Okay. Next, we are going to look into control. The definition of control. So control is the elimination or inactivation of a hazard in a manner such that the hazard does not pose a risk to workers who have to enter into an area or work on equipment in the course of scheduled work. Okay. Hazard should be controlled at their source. So this method is referred as engineering control. The closer a control to a source of the hazard, the better. Another one is administrative controls. If the first control, which is the engineering control, is not possible or does not work, hazard can often be controlled along the path to the worker between the source and the worker. So this is the second one, which is administrative control. If it is not possible, hazard must be controlled at the level of worker using PPE or personal protective equipment. Although this is the least desirable at control. So there are 3 levels, which is one is the engineering control at the source. The second one is the administrative control, which is between the source and the worker. And the last one is at the level of the worker using PPE or personal protective equipment. Okay, next is on selecting a suitable control. Selecting a control involves evaluating and selecting short and long-term controls. Short-term measure is to protect the worker until permanent controls can be put in place. And implementing long-term controls when reasonably practical. For example, here, in the case of a noise hazard, so the short-term control require workers to use a hearing protection. And the long-term permanent control, for example, here given here is to remove or isolate the noise source. So sometimes this is not possible. For example, if you are working with farm, there is always noise coming from the pump. So this is something you cannot avoid unless probably you buy a very expensive one, which have limited or a very small subtle noise. But even in that case, any level of noise, if it is continuous, if you working in that environment, it still can damage your hearing. So the short term to control the hazard is by using the hearing protection. Okay, types of control. The first one, at the source of the hazard. The first one is elimination. If it is possible, getting rid of the hazardous job or tools or process or machine or substance is perhaps the best way of protecting workers. So this is something that can be the best one. Let's say if you can choose a process or a machine that have the least possible risk to the worker. This would be the best thing to do. And then next one is substitution. Sometimes doing the same work in a less hazardous way, if possible. Is possible. This sometimes require experience. And using the experience and also technology, because along from time to time, the technology is getting better and getting safer. So we can substitute the work using a less hazardous way. And then is engineering control, redesign. Job and process can be reworked to make them safer. For example, here, containers can be made easier to hold and lift. Engineering control by isolation. If a hazard cannot be eliminated or replaced, it can sometimes be isolated, contained, or otherwise kept away from workers. For example, an isolated and air-conditioned control room can protect operators from toxic chemicals. Automation, dangerous processes can be automated or mechanized. For example, computer control robot can handle spot welding operation in car plants. care must be taken to protect workers from robotic hazards. So this is engineering control. Or another one is the dilution. Some hazard can be diluted or dissipated. For example, ventilation system can dilute toxic gases from before they reach the operators. Administrative control is the safe work procedure. Workers can be required to use standardized safety practices. The employer is expected to ensure that workers follow these practices. Work procedure must be periodically reviewed with workers and updated. So this is administrative control. And because of that, supervision and training. Initial training on safe work procedures and refresher training should be offered. Appropriate supervision to assist worker in identifying possible hazard and evaluating work procedures. So this need to be provided by the employer. In our faculty, each level we have assigned safety officer, and from different department, and head by a safety officer appointed by the faculty, and also we have the safety department on the university level. So each level there will be a training session, and it is not a one-time process. It's a yearly, or there will be a duration, suitable duration agreed, and it is a continuous process, because in any company there will always be newcomers, new employee, new staff. So, and that is why it is always training need to be put in place. So the working environment will always be so everybody in the working in the work area will have the same level or the minimum level understanding of the health and safety procedure in that company. Next one is job rotation. And other procedure can reduce the time that workers are exposed to a hazard. For example, workers can be rotated through jobs requiring repetitive tendon and muscle movement to prevent cumulative trauma and injuries. Noisy processes can be scheduled when no one is in the workplace. Housekeeping, repair and maintenance program. Housekeeping include cleaning, waste disposal and spill cleanup. Tool, equipment and machinery are less likely to cause injury if they are kept clean and well maintained. Because that is why in workshop, for example, or in lab, you can see all the tools should be put in their place. For example, once we used any tools, let's say hammer or anything, after finish using, we need to put it back to the original place. So it is by doing it, we will reduce any risk. For example, tripping or anything which is possible in the working space. Okay, hygiene is another important practice. Can reduce the risk of toxic material being absorbed by the workers or carried home to their family. So that is why when we have our last time COVID, at the beginning stage of COVID, any family members who come home from outside, he or she need to immediately go and wash or take a bath to prevent any possible spreading the virus. Okay, I think we are on the last two slide here. The last one is PPE or personal protective equipment. The personal protective equipment and clothing is used when other control measures are not feasible and where additional protection is needed. Workers must be trained to use and maintain equipment properly. The employer and workers must understand the limitation of the personal protective equipment. Okay, so I think this is the last slide. So as you can see here, there are other subtopic which is not included in the lecture because I refer to this slide is based on a document, a government document, HIREC. So you can Google it and get the full document of HIREC by the Department of, I think DOSH, Department of Occupational Safe and Health, something like that. So it is a public document that can be downloaded from the internet. Okay. I hope you have some idea on this topic. Is there any a question regarding today's topic?
Salam, Doctor.
Apa dia?
May I ask this topic is
Yes.
the midterm coming out objective or subjective part?
This topic, there will be a small number of MCQ. This is the objective. On the final, there will be some objective from this topic and there will be, I think, one question from the subjective for your final. But as for your mid-semester, there will be like a small number of questions, MCQ, multiple choice question.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Ada nampak apa-apa tak kat screen? Saya baru je disconnect display tu. Nampak apa-apa ke? Tak ada
Tak ada, Doctor. Tak ada, Doctor.
Okay. Ada siapa-siapa nak tanya soalan lagi? Is there any question?
Doctor, one more question. May I ask, tomorrow distribution mark dia macam mana? Dia like per 100 mark ke?
Yang mana?
Contoh macam ada 20 soalan objektif, right? Setiap
20.
satu soalan objektif, is it like 1 mark or 2 mark like that.
Untuk your mid-sem ke?
Yeah, Doctor.
Oh, your mid-sem, eh? Your mid-sem is handled by, I think, Prof. Ashrif. Let me check. Is there any information regarding that? You want to know the distribution mark?
Like for example, if the objective part and subjective, is it like half-half? Or is it objective 30%, subjective 70% like that?
Oh, okay. All right, I understand. And you give me like maybe 1 to 2 minutes just to check.
Thank you, Doctor. Sorry to trouble you.
Tak apa, sekejap sebab saya kena check, saya tak ingat. Okay. I think the MCQ part will be 60 marks. And there will be like another 40% from, oh, sorry. Not this one. Okay. Okay, the first part, the MCQ part is 60%. And the subjective part will be 40%. There will be like 20 questions for your MCQ and 1 question for the subjective question. So that will be your mid-semester.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay. Before we end our session, I just want to check another one.
By the way, Doctor nak end recording dulu ke?
Tak, belum lagi.
Lagi.
Sekejap. Sebab saya tengah cari benda tu, saya jumpa. Saya tak ingat. Sekejap, mana dia? Okay. Alright. Okay. Saya jumpa apa yang saya nak cari tadi. So, saya share sekejap ya. Another one. This one. Okay. Can you see the NSW safe work? Interactive safety hazard diagram. Can you see this one?
Yes, betul.
Okay, let's say we this is an interactive activities to identify hazard, because hazard perception is one of something that we need to train. It's not come naturally. We can train ourselves. For example, here in this, let's say there is example for farming, factory, office, truck yard, hospital, retail. Let's say first we go to let's say factory. Okay, so using this exercise, you can identify the possible hazard. Here if you click here, so one of the hazard is pallet blocking fire exit. So this is something which is wrong and cannot be I mean that this shouldn't be here. Should be put somewhere else. Here, as you can see, this is truck. The possible hazard here is forklift stacked too high and driver cannot see. Yeah, okay. The one here, machine guarding lifted. Here, unsecured chemical. Right? And here, rubbish on the ground. Another one is water on the floor. So the possibility of slip or tripping. And so they are using this. We have another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mana lagi satu? 5. Here. Stack material unevenly. 6. Lagi satu, 6. Should be another one. Be another one. Find another one. 1. Okay. So you can try this one because there should be one. Number 2. This is 6 person walking in front of the forklift. Number 2. Number 3. 1. Four. Okay. Number 2. Okay, I cannot find it. Okay, but you can try this one. You just Google this www.safework.nsw.gov.au. So there should be like 8, 7. Sorry, 8. 1. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 possible hazard. For this scenario. So for each one, we need to, from the possible hazard, we can suggest the best way to reduce the risk for each possible hazard. Okay, let's say we take another example here in the hospital. Okay. Okay, this one. Okay, back blocking exit ni satu. This is number one. Okay, lifting patient incorrectly. Okay. Okay, another one here. Rubbish on the floor. Okay, here is another possible one. Full of water. Okay, here another possible. Aggressive person. Okay. Right. Nurse not using glove, as you can see here. Cord on floor, possible of tripping. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. Here. Number 5. Page number 5.
The water dispenser.
Water dispenser.
Sorry. Ya, ke sampah under number 4 tu.
Here.
Tripping hazard on the floor.
Here. On the floor. Nombor 1. Okay. So 1, 2, number 3. Tak jumpa. Mana dia?
Ada syringe kat lantai dekat dengan air tu.
Okay.
Ya, dia near number 3, doctor. Ada syringe on the floor.
Ni, okay. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So there are 6, 7 in this case. So from this one, we can plan or try to reduce all the risk from all the listed possible hazard. So this is an example practices that you can do to identify hazard. Okay. So you can try to do at your own time, and as I said just now, try to think or try to Google the possible action that you can take from that hazard, identified hazard. Okay. All right. That's all from me. Unless if there is any question from the student, from any student. Okay. So.
Doctor.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Can I ask the midterm exam cover from which topic to which topic?
I cannot answer that because I think everything that is covered previously by Prof. Ashrif and also from Dr. Zambri and myself. But I can talk on my part. So on my part for mid-semester, there will be only small portion of question, MCQ question. But from the part from Prof. Ashrif and Dr. Zamri part, I'm not sure exactly, but you can always ask them directly. But from what I understand, it should cover everything before this lah. Then you can also refer back to the performa given by Prof. Ashrif.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Sama. Okay, any more question? Okay, alright. Kalau tak ada apa-apa, thank you very much for your attendance and also for your attention. So thank you. So we end our session today with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih.